Welcome to the Culer Corner podcast with your host, Jose Gonzalez, and
Ayham.
with your
Elias
co-host.
Mahanin.
And
Ariel Pineda.
now I think we need to start talking about El Clasico. What a final. I mean, 3-2 in Riyadh. And I think Madrid just started playing. Well, both teams actually started playing kind of slow at the start. They were trying to grasp how each team would play. The managers were just trying to see how each team would adapt to their different styles of play. We saw a very kind of like passive approach on both teams, and especially Real Madrid was very passive. They were playing Getafe Harambal Pro Max. They had, I think, 5 at the back at one point, and their defense was just and their midfielders as well were just low block deep, trying to like find a way to counter this like Barcelona's offense. And I was wondering what you guys thought about that, because until the 36th minute, it was just boring Harambal.
Well, what I say is, as you said earlier, with Chouameni, playing a 5-back originally, and then after that Chouameni going and, becoming the extra center back for it to become a 5-back. And you can't really blame Madrid for that because, with the quality that Barca's attack has, and with what their players can do, I mean, any team would want to be able to play defensively, because if not with that, they would, just get dominated.
Yeah, so and the reason why Real Madrid had to become so passive was because of the numbers that Barcelona were putting up front. I mean, at times we were seeing Koundé overlapping from the right, Balde overlapping to the left. We saw Pedri moving around from that cam spot alongside Fermin Lopez, also dropping back to receive the ball. So if Real Madrid weren't like dropping back numbers on defense, then Barcelona would just be able to control the game on offense, and they would just be able to finish their chances much, much easier.
Yeah, and they were playing really defensively until the 36th minute. I mean, both teams have had good chances, and Rafinha actually missed a pretty good chance a couple of minutes before, I think in the 32nd minute. But he made an open goal, open chance, by the way, but he squandered it. But thankfully, he redeemed himself. 36th minute, dribbles past Chouameni and assisted by Fermin. That was a great weighted pass, by the way, just perfectly at his feet, takes a touch, shoots, no keeper's getting to that. Right at the corner, great finish. And I mean, that's what Rafinha does in these big finals. He's a big game player, and we've seen that time and time again in the Champions League, in the Copa del Rey final, just everywhere.
I mean, as you said, Rafinha missing that first chance and him scoring the harder one afterwards, and he actually did really well with that second chance, redeeming himself. As you said, I think about a minute afterwards, he hit it really well. You know what, between Chouameni's legs, which caused Courtois not being able to see it that well, and then after that, straight into the bottom corner, and it's a good goal from Rafinha overall. And what can you expect from him?
Yeah, so Rafinha coming off of a great season from last season, people were obviously like congratulating him, but they were questioning, can he do it again? Can he replicate this form? And he came back from injury, and he's just been incredible. Straight fact, I mean, he scored. He's been replicating the same type of form that he showed us last year, and he's showing us consistency in his season.
Yeah, and then we saw his defensive output again, but we'll talk about that later, because in the 45th plus 2 minute, Vinicius scored the 1-1. Now, as much as I hate Vinicius, as who he is as a player, well, I gotta admit that was a really good goal. He basically cooked our defense. And that's something we saw this entire game, was our defense not really being able to match some of the explosiveness that Real Madrid had. And Vinny exploited us in that first goal, because he just dribbled past Koundé. Kubarsi couldn't get to it, and it was a good shot. And I think our defense in that moment, not great.
I mean, with Vinny's goal, as you said, he cooked Kunde, nutmegged him, and then after that, went basically past our whole entire defense and scored. He's been having an off season so far. These past few months with him not scoring at all, and then after that, with that game against Barca, it seems like he was, one of the only players actively, trying to do something, and from what I saw, he had a very good game.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier with Kunde overlapping, it left a lot of space behind if he couldn't recover quickly. So that, I mean, that's like a risk of overlapping fullbacks. I mean, it's good on attack, but if you get on the counter, it's a dangerous, very dangerous game. We know that Real Madrid likes to be on the counters. Xabi Alonso ball, especially in Leverkusen, a lot of counterattacks, quick counterattacks, especially in stoppage times. They had two stoppage goals in this game. So Kunde he overlapped. He left a lot of space, and Kuvarsi had to cover. Like the other center back had to cover it as well, and they just couldn't get back in time. And there was just too much space that Vini could exploit, especially since he was shifting out wide more to receive the ball. So there's just much more space behind Kunde.
No, yeah, and we just saw our defense just constantly getting that space exploited, especially out in the wings. And I thought this was gonna be like that's the half 1-1, we're good. And then who else but Robert Lewandowski, my striker? He in the 45th plus 3 and 14 seconds. By the way, the ref added 3 minutes of added time. That's gonna be very important for later. So remember that number. 3 minutes. In the 45th plus third minute and 14 seconds, a Pedri, a class pass just straight to his legs. And then Lewa does what Lewa does and just chips it over Courtois. Can't save it. 2-1. And I thought, all right, that should be half. That's it. And then in the 45th plus 6 minute, I don't even know why the game should have stopped right after that goal. 45th plus 6 minute, Real Madrid get a corner. And I let me just say, I'm frustrated by this goal because it's a terrible, terrible goal. It's an unlucky goal, and those are the goals that we see Madrid score time and time again. Just terrible luck, right? Gonzalo Garcia scores in the 45th plus 6 minute to tie the game up. Like, and in that corner, we saw Rafinha actually block the initial header in, but it just gets directly to Gonzalo Garcia's feet, and he barely misses. He makes it like to the top, but it was just a frustrating goal, and I don't think it should have ever happened.
Now, well, going back to that Lewandowski goal, as you know, like he's old, right? But with age comes class, and as you can see, he made a really, really, really great run, and then after that, continuing with that pass from Pedri, and the technique on that shot, just to be able to chip it over Courtois, for us to get into the lead in the game, that just shows his class. And as you said, with the timing, yeah, the game should have ended right afterwards, but it was really, really bad defending on the corner. From what you said, Rafinha did block the shot afterwards, but who was marking Gonzalo Garcia in that goal? Was it Pedri? Yeah, I feel like he should have done better because even if he didn't get the goal off, it could have resulted in a penalty anyways. So as you said, with problems with Barca's defending, this type of stuff causes them to be in these situations for them to go and having to go score more goals, which isn't a problem necessarily, but Barcelona need to focus more on locking down the defense. Because if they do that, they're going to be able to win games by large margins. We can't just keep having John Garcia, having to save us each time, praying, with those, fast breaks, on the counter attack. At least Barca open, and if Barca aren't careful, they can end up losing matches like this. So they should just, start locking down the defense.
Yeah, and I think the main problem here was like they just weren't physical. I mean, Barcelona in general, they're not a very tall team. They're not a very physical team. So Xabi Alonso obviously knew this. They were the underdogs coming into this game. So he most likely told his team, we need to capitalize on the corners, off of the free kicks, off of the physical battles, because those are the chances that like Real Madrid need to capitalize because obviously Barcelona are a more technical team than Real Madrid. Real Madrid they capitalize on the counterattacks. They try to do corner kicks and yeah, so Barcelona really had to lock that down and they just failed to do so in the first half.
Yeah, and I think this is a problem that's been recurring the entire season. We just see Barca just conceding from corners and stuff that other European teams shouldn't haven't and shouldn't be doing. But then we went into the half 2-2. The vibes were cautious but positive, I think, on both sides because we saw that for the fans it was an amazing game. Uh 3 goals in what, like 4 minutes. That's insane. Like it was chaos. And then we went into the half, and the first couple minutes of the second half was pretty much the same thing that we saw in the first couple minutes of the first half. Just the coaches trying to see what tactical changes were made. Again, a couple chances on both sides, but then who else but Rafinha to score the 3-2 in the 73rd minute. Now he gets the ball outside on the edge of the box, takes a little cut inside, and when he shoots, he slips. And the slip gave the ball, I think, more shot power before it deflected off of Raul Asensio, and Courtois just couldn't save it. He was caught completely off guard because of that deflection and the power that the shot was carrying with it as well.
I mean, I'd say that Rafinha did do good there. Got a little bit lucky with the deflection off of Raul Asensio, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He is the difference maker in the squad. He is the one that leads us in big games, and we saw that in 4K from the Real Madrid game, and so he just scored and we won. So a goal is a goal.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about like the system that allowed him to receive the ball from these areas, Rafinha. So Real Madrid on the defense, we mentioned it earlier, they were playing a five back with Asensio moving to the right center back, Valverde playing the right wing back. Rodrigo, he was playing more like a left center mid. They were all narrow because Real Madrid in the past they've had troubles locking down the midfield. So this game they obviously knew Barcelona is a technical team. They want to get to the midfield, so they had to lock it down. So the wide areas they were very exposed. Rafinha well, and especially Yamal, he was getting a lot of 1v1s against Carreras due to Rodrigo not being able to track back because he's marking, say, De Jong or Fermin Lopez. So they just had a lot of time on the wings to receive the ball, attack their defender, and get that 1v1.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Rafinha just had a really good game. He really showed his why he deserves to be captain. He just you know kept pressing. I think Flick taking off Rafinha in the last couple of minutes kind of scared me because we know the effect that he has on games. Now, around the 82nd, 83rd minute, Rashford had a clear chance to just kill off the game. One on one against the keeper, he gets a great ball in. He's on the left side. All he has to do is score. One on one against the keeper, and he misses. Now, for me, I thought, yeah, that just cost us the game. That just cost us the game because we know how football works, right? And when you miss something like that, it always comes back to bite you.
I mean, I wasn't really that worried after the shot. I mean, he should have scored, after all, but it kind of did waste some time, allowing us, regroup and make sure that defense was on lockdown, even though what happened afterwards, but we'll get to that later. But anyways, I wasn't really that worried, so.
Yeah, and I think it was even later in the game. It was like the 88th minute or 89th minute. To be honest with you, with the game, how the game was going, Real Madrid was putting a lot of players more up to get the equalizer. Rashford, seeing the flow of the game, he should have slowed the game down, try to control the game, wait for his teammates. I know he got that 1v1 and a clear shot, but if he were to wait for his teammates, maybe Barcelona could have gotten more control of the game. And I think it could be poor decision making. I mean, because in these games, when the game is going from this side to this side constantly, you want to get control of the game, not exactly look for counterattacks, but instead to control the tempo and calm the game down. And that's exactly what Barcelona should be doing in these games.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, in the 90 plus first minute, again, lots of added time. The ref, this game, like adding on to like a case on why they had such a poor game, they gave Frankie de Jong a red card. It's become a tradition in El Clasico. Last El Clasico was one to Pedri in the 90 plus third minute. This time it was to de Jong. Next Clasico, who knows? It's gonna be Araujo. And then do you guys think that was a red card? Because in my opinion, it should have been a yellow and a strong warning. I don't think that will ever be a red card.
I mean, like, if you see, it looks really bad at some angles, you know, with the going all cleats straight to Mbappe. But as Jose said, I do think it would be a yellow and a strong warning. And, you know, personally, I don't think he deserved it. He had a really good game the whole entire match. You know, just to end it off with that red card, you know, it doesn't really show, you know, his overall gameplay in that game as a whole. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the game's gone. Like, to be honest, like if you look at the replay, he clearly slips. He does get contact, but it should be a yellow card. I mean, I remember back in my playing days in '01, I used to be able to 2 foot players. They got up and it was just no red card. I mean, I think the game's become too soft and we're trying to protect the players. And I don't think this should be happening. I mean, I remember one time I hit someone in their leg, it impaled their leg, and I impaled their leg, and then he
I
said,
remember
you know,
that. I
take it
remember
out
that.
on three. And he said 1, 2, 3, and I took it out, and then part of his bone came out, but he keeps on playing. Like this is the passion we need in our teams, like
Yeah, yeah.
to and
That's
like yeah,
You can't forget about when you pulled out a gun and you shot the guy 9 times and the guy got a red card and you got let off.
you know,
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think
yeah.
the game's gone.
yeah. Nah, the game's gone. I mean, they're protecting the players too much. The game's become too soft, and as a neutral, I mean, we're seeing less and less fouls. I mean, it adds competitiveness. I mean, it's a rivalry for a reason. These type of challenges are expected in the game, and I don't think they should be calling these red cards.
You know, yeah. As Ariel said, I remember him 2 footing tackling back in '05. I remember one time back in '01 when he did that same exact thing. You know, same exact thing that happened to Frankie De Jong. You know, and they gave a red card to the guy who fell down because of simulation. You know, none of that silly business. They didn't like that stuff. You know, so I personally think Mbappe should have gotten a red card. But
And now on a more serious note, um, we saw Hansi Flick putting on Dani Olmo and Ferran Torres in the latter stages of the match. How do you guys think that influenced the tactics and the flow we saw from Barcelona?
I mean, like, I personally think, you know, those substitutes, you know, overall, you know, bring they wanted to bring more energy from the bench, you know, they wanted to add more control into the game, you know, and overall, I think that helped a little bit, but you know, all the goal at the end of the day is just to get the win, and you know, because of these substitutes and you know, because of these tactical decisions, the win did come. So overall, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, in my eyes, it was a perfect decision. It came at the right timing. Like I said earlier, Real Madrid were committing more players. Bellingham and Camavinga, they were acting less as DMs. They were actually going further up. So there was a lot of space behind them. I mean, implementing Ferran Torres, he's obviously a different profile than Lewandowski. Lewandowski's an out and nine. He likes to crash the box. I mean, he's in the box all the time. Ferran Torres, he kind of comes deeper to receive the ball, and that's exactly where Real Madrid were leaving space because they were trying to press the Barcelona midfield up higher to receive the ball up higher to be able to score. So Ferran Torres was able to exploit that space in behind, and we saw Rafinha also inverting inside, and he was able to receive the ball there a lot. So yeah, these tactical changes came at the perfect time, and yeah,
Yeah, you literally said like exactly my thoughts. And like I think Dani Olmo for this game and also Ferran Torres, you know, those two, we've seen them build off each other. So I think Hansi Flick at the stage of the game that we were at, perfect. Now, thankfully we got the win. We won the Supercopa. Campeones, campeones, ole, ole, ole. But now we need to talk about some concerning statistics, especially on the other side, the other team, because we saw Joan Garcia, our very own GOAT keeper. He had more passes the entire game than Jude Bellingham. They were comparing him to Pedri a season ago. They were saying that he was better than Pedri. How do you have less passes as a midfielder than a goalkeeper?
I mean, that just shows, how overwhelmingly better Pedri is than Bellingham, especially in that game alone. Bellingham, he didn't have the best game, as you said, with them having less passes than Joan Garcia, and he almost gave away a goal too. With a misplaced pass, straight to Rafinha's foot, and I'd say that the debate is forced. That's all I can say.
In my eyes, obviously Bellingham had a terrible game. He's having a terrible season, but I blame the management. I blame Fiorentino Perez last season. Uh, they got the best out of Bellingham in the system they were playing, but they try to bring in Mbappe to force in like some brand decision. They wanted to increase Real Madrid's brand. And now we can see that Bellingham is suffering from that decision because he's having to play a deeper role. I know he played it in Dortmund, but they obviously got the best out of Bellingham. He had an insane season, but it just seems now that Bellingham's in a decline. And if you're getting the best out of your players, he was getting the best out of Vinicius, Rodrigo on the right, and I feel like they forced the signing of Mbappe and they just shifted the whole system and they weren't able to adapt.
Yeah, and now that you talk about Mbappe, we need to talk about that guard of honor. It's a tradition that every losing team, when the winning team is receiving their trophy, they give them a guard of honor. They clap them out, as a show of respect. Now we saw Mbappe before Xabi Alonso was telling their players, like, guys, let's line up, give them the guard of honor. And Mbappe walked off. He did this gesture and he said, no, we're not doing that. And I think that just shows the frustration. And Mbappe has only won one Clasico in the entire time he's been at Madrid. He was told, we're going to win UCLs, we're going to win La Ligas. He has won nothing. He's won nothing at his time. And I think that just shows his frustration and the classless club that is Real Madrid. It's just like no respect for the other team. We saw them celebrating like they won the league when they beat us in La Liga in October. And when we beat them, they walk off. No honor, no nothing.
As you said, they're a classless team. They didn't, want to clap up Barca. As you said, and as I wanted to say earlier, Barca against the one game that they won, Hansi Flick wasn't there, Rafinha was injured, Yamal had like a pubic injury or something. It wasn't the strongest Barca team that they could put up, and it's just as Ariel said earlier, straight up classless from Madrid as a whole, and as Ariel said, and with Mbappe coming into the system, Mbappe coming into the system.
Yep, perfect. No, we saw Xabi Alonso telling his players, like, come on, let's line up. But the players followed Kylian Mbappe. They lost respect for their manager. And the very next day after we won the Supercopa, we saw Xabi Alonso get sacked. Now, supposedly it was mutual agreement. Supposedly it was because Xabi Alonso had lost the respect of the locker room, and he just felt like it wasn't his time. But like, do you guys actually think it was because of a mutual agreement? If you think the board was like, bro, you've been playing like ass, bro. Like, we can't keep you in this team anymore. Or do you think it was actually what they're saying in the media?
It's the Mbappe dictatorship.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so I think that Xabi Alonso obviously got sacked. He lost the locker room. That, like you said, that Mbappe moment perfectly shows like what happens. I mean, the players got control of the situation. Xabi Alonso no longer had the control. And the way I think of it is like Xabi Alonso getting sacked after losing to Rockham is like it's like if you're dating someone, right? And they said, "Oh, I'm home alone, come over." And then you think you're finally gonna do something, right? And then when you actually get there, there's three men and they're getting you and you just they strap you to a chair.
You
And
don't
you're
see
just
this
watching them
announced. It's on Sky Sports.
and you just watch them getting railed, right? But afterwards, after the situation is over, she gets AIDS, right? So the men have AIDS, and she has AIDS. So you escape the situation. Now they are fried. So I want to say, like Real Madrid right now, they're in a terrible situation, the worst situation they've ever been in. Xabi Alonso actually escapes. Um, Honestly, I don't think any manager wants to take over that Real Madrid squad because of the egos. They brought in Xabi Alonso because they thought that he could manage the egos, especially being an ex-player, but he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and like, kind of as you said, he like I don't think any manager wants to be in this position. And looking back at his time, as much as us Barcelona fans loved his time in Real Madrid, he didn't do that bad. Like I think the main problem roots from the players just not wanting to do anything, and the like Florentino Perez and other like top ranking board members not wanting to give him the players he wanted, not wanting to allow him to play the system of football that he used to play in Leverkusen. Now, like being completely honest, neutral opinion, he didn't do that bad. And then we see their U21 manager and Alvaro Arbeloa replace him. Now, when he got sacked, I said it's gonna be a sad, gloomy day in Barcelona because we don't have our favorite manager anymore. But I completely take that back. Under Arbeloa, Madrid lost 2-3 to Albacete, a team that is 17th in the second tier. Now, I think give Arbeloa a 15-year extension, $15 million a year, give him my first kid, my life savings, everything. He needs to stay. He needs to stay. He needs to stay.
Yeah, so Real Madrid has obviously been developing Arbeloa. He came from like what the U14s. He got to the reserves. So the way I see it is like if you have a kid with someone, right? And then you wait for him to grow up like slightly more, right? And then you cheat on your husband with the kid, right?
No.
But then you find out that the kid is too underage. So now you're even in a more like a bigger crisis. So now that you just can't do nothing. Like I mean, the Real Madrid is just like in a huge crisis. I mean, and it comes back to the players. I mean, they're not performing. You see, like at times Bellingham is hiding from the ball. Like the players are hiding from the ball, and like my way of thinking it, I mean, do you not like to touch balls? like, like
I personally
in
love to
these
touch them.
games,
No.
like in these games, you can't hide from the ball. So I want them to go home, touch balls all the time, so they feel a connection with the balls. So they're not
I
hiding
mean,
away
like,
from the
if
ball.
Bellingham needs that help, I'm right here. So, like, as you were saying, right? The new Madrid manager, he can stay. He can stay as long as he wants. Like I take a Toblerone up the butt for him to stay. But overall, overall, stay as long as you want. I'll do whatever you say.
And as much as I'm laughing right now, I don't think I've laughed more than when the referee blew the final whistle in the Albacete game. 2 trophies in 1 week gone. This is a wonderful time to be alive. I could have just failed my chem test and my math test. I don't care about that because Real Madrid's so bad. They're so bad. They're horrible. And like, it's not like Albacete just pulled off a miracle. They were behind for the entirety of the game until the 91st minute when they tied it, right? And then the Albacete player, I think is some Betancourt, I think his name was Bentancur. He scores an absolute screamer in the 94th minute. Lunin couldn't do anything, and we just saw like apathy from all the Madrid players. Carvajal didn't do anything. Vinny the people defending Vinny were like, "Oh, at least he tried. Well, give him a trophy. Give him a trophy. Give him a trophy for trying, so he keeps trying. I'm happy he keeps trying. You know what? I think you should give Vinny another 10-year contract extension as well."
Vinny said he's gonna do it 20 times more, and I saw that. I'd love for him to keep on going the way he is. I'd love for him to keep on going 20 times more. And with that last goal, horrible defending from Madrid. Nobody wanted to go and press the ball. One shot, block, another shot, straight, and Lunin is just looking out the ball like this. Horrible defending. And I mean, if they keep on defending like this, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But it was a good win. Congratulations to Albacete. Even though beating Madrid now isn't that much of an accomplishment. But hey, what can I say?
Yeah, and I think in part it's the identity crisis that Real Madrid is having. I mean, they can't find like the system that works for them. Obviously, they got Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso was playing a three back in Bayern Leverkusen. That's what worked for him. They forced him to adapt into like a four back, and it's just not working for them. So I think they have to make some changes to the team. They have to make some tactical changes. I mean, what was working with Ancelotti, it was working. I don't know why they are making these changes. Um, and to be honest, for me, they had to give Xabi Alonso more time. I mean, like Jose said, he wasn't doing too bad. He was given a short amount of time, and with the squad that Real Madrid has, I mean, they shouldn't even be competing, to be honest. So
I
with
mean,
the squad he has, he's doing an incredible job.
like, this is just the Hansi Flick effect. They just got rattled by him. The moment he starts coming in, one sacking, two sackings, two managers gone. Two managers gone. The second manager didn't even last like what? Like the whole entire season gone in January. So
Hansi Flick is gonna score a hat trick as manager. Ancelotti, Alonso, and hopefully Arbeloa.
Arbeloa. They better score a hat trick.
Also, I think going into the Copa del Rey quarterfinal is not for every team. It's only for the big teams like Barcelona, because we beat Racing Santander in the round of 32. Now, I think Barcelona saw what happened yesterday to Real Madrid, and they said, "We not letting this happen." So they started a very strong lineup. I was surprised, actually. I thought he was going to start more La Masia, homegrown, Dro, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds. He started the starting team against Bilbao. It was insane, and like I thought, okay, I mean bold, but after what happened to Madrid, anything can happen. Now we saw in this game a very very low block by Racing, and like the first half, just nothing happened. It was worse than the Madrid game. For first half opening minutes, nothing happened, and then Lamine kept tearing up that left back, just violating him every time he got the ball, violating him. Now I can't really be bragging because this is a second division side. They're gonna get promoted this season, almost guaranteed, because they're playing really well in the league. But I think this is a team that, like, on their day, a very, very solid team.
I mean, I honestly expected João Cancelo to get some game time. With him just coming in and being on the bench, but he didn't get any. And Barca's high line did work with multiple offside goals. Although John Garcia making an amazing save last minute, to prevent the game being tied 1-1. And it was a great goal from Ferran Torres, 66th minute. Ball from Fermin Lopez, straight into him, and then he was able to round the keeper. And coming off of not starting, I think that's just a great way to prove himself to the team that he can do well, even though it is a second division side. Soon to be promoted to the first division. So I think he did well.
Yeah, I think Barcelona has to use these games to gain confidence from the younger players or even the experienced players that are lacking confidence. For example, Ronald Araujo, he's been having confidence issues. These are the type of um, games that you have to ease him into so he can get his confidence back, he gets his sharpness up, he gets his spark back, so he adapts to playing with Barcelona once again. And I think Hansi Flick just didn't utilize him. I mean, it could have been even more game time for Rooney Bardi's. And then, like Ilya said, for Joao Cancelo, but he just failed to do so.
Yeah, and we saw in this game, like, Fermin and Rafinha made a big difference. Ferran goal in the 66th minute. He rounded the keeper after a great through ball by Fermin. Again, we're seeing a lot of good tactical changes by Flick, which last season we didn't really see. It was more cautious changes. I think he's gotten to know this team more and being able to develop this team to make any sub a dangerous sub. And then in the 93rd minute, after an insane just squandering of a chance by the Racing player. I mean, this guy was one-on-one with Johan Garcia. No defender in sight. Could have passed it to the defender to his right, and it would have been a goal. But he didn't. He tried to take on Johan Garcia, and that's the one thing you don't do in football. You don't take on Johan Garcia. This guy, his saves are nuttable. They're genuinely the best saves I've seen. I've gooned to his highlights before. I say that proudly.
I'd let his big hands handle me.
Yeah, so watching Joao Garcia, it just reminds me of Scott Carson. Honestly, I mean, Scott Carson, he played for Man City. I remember that game versus Derby County. He gets game time. He saves a penalty his first game back. It kind of reminds me of the impact that Joao Garcia has had for this team. He only costed what 25 million, and he's had a huge impact to the Barcelona team. Just how Scott Carson has had for Man City.
But Scott Carson can't make you nut on command, can he?
True. That is very true.
I think
Now,
it's a matter of perspective, to be honest, and it's an opinion. So for one, it might, but for other, it may not.
It's not opinion for João Garcia.
After that chance in the 93rd minute, Rafinha had a low cross. He took it in after a counterattack. Very good counterattack. We've seen Barcelona be able to counterattack very effectively this game, which is very promising. And then Low crosses it, and Lamine just taps it in. Now, I like that Lamine didn't really celebrate, keep it humble, unlike some other teams. But I think we just saw good cohesion, and we also saw good cohesion in the back line with all the possible goals. I think Racing scored 2 or 3 goals, but they were later called offside. Now, we've seen the high line being a high-risk, high-reward type system, and today was that high reward. It worked perfectly, and it rage-baited the entire defense. The entire offense. You could just see they were mad. And then, again, just Johan Garcia, none on command, bro. The perfect. Goonable.
Exactly.
And now we need to move on to the match preview against Real Sociedad in La Liga, which is our next match on the 18th. Now, Real Sociedad has not kept a clean sheet in the past 7 games, but they're beaten in their last 5, which means that while they may lack some defensive traits, they're very good on offense. And I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup for Barcelona because they're a niche team. They don't play like any other team in Spain or in Europe. Now, what is very promising is they haven't kept a clean sheet in their past 7 games. And we've seen this Barcelona attack 5-0 against Bilbao in the Copa del Rey, 3-2 against Real Madrid, who were playing haram ball, 2-0 against a Racing Santander team who were playing ultra haram ball before that Getafe head coach type haram ball. Now, Barca has kept 6 out of 7 clean sheets in their past 7 games. So I think at least there's a 67% chance that we keep a clean sheet in this one.
I honestly agree with you, and with my I just wanted to say my starting 11. So for this game, I say João Garcia, of course, will be in goal with the back line of Koundé, Kubasi, Eric Garcia. He had a very, very good match against Real Madrid. That's all I'm going to say. He had a very, very good match, especially in the center back position, progressing forward, bringing more attack inwards. And left back Balde, I say, who would be, so I say Rafinha at cam. I'd start Rashford for this game. Give him some game time. And then after that, let's just give Mark Bernal some game time too. I might as well. With Pedri also. So midfield would be Mark Bernal, Pedri, and Rafinha. You know, Rafinha rested this match. You know, coming on later on, but and then of course Lamine Yamal on the right, and then Ferran Torres as striker. So that's my full lineup.
That's honestly a pretty good lineup, but I would make some some changes. Now, obviously, in goal, who else but Joan Garcia? Left back Balde. My center backs would be Gerard Martin and Kuku Arce, and right back Kunde. Now, in my midfield, I would have Frankie de Jong, and I think, I don't know why, I just feel it. If Joao Cancelo plays good in practice, I could see him kind of like a CDN, right mid. I said it here first. Now, in my attack, it's just the same as yours. Rashford, Rafinha, Lamine, and Ferran.
You're muted, gang.
Yo, you're
Yeah,
muted.
so Joao Garcia in goal, obviously. Balde at left back. Gerard Maldini at left center back. Cuarci right center back. Kunde, yeah. I would have Mark Bernal because to nullify those counters, so we can allow our fullbacks to overlap, and hopefully Mark Bernal gives us that control of the game. I would pair him up with Frankie De Jong. I would actually have Rooney Bargi at right wing. Have Lamine Yamal at cam, and then Rashford out wide. We saw this earlier, and I really liked how Lamine Yamal played at the 10. He was actually, I feel like it gives him more freedom to go. I mean, he can go left or right. It makes him even more unpredictable. And then I would have Lewandowski up top to, so he can get that service and hopefully bag some goals.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you guys your standout player, because for me, I think coming off of a couple unconvincing fixtures, I think it's due time for Marcus Rashford, MBE, to have a great game. I think he's scoring 2 this game.
I think that my standout player is gonna be Pedri. I think he's gonna be having a very good game, controlling the game as always, right? But he's gonna have, I think one of the best games of the season, right here, right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say my standout player is gonna be Joan Garcia. We obviously talked about Real Sociedad's offense; they're elite, and I think that the piece that's saving Barcelona right now is Joan Garcia, and I think he's gonna continue doing so, saving Barcelona in the back and getting some saves.
And I would also like to know your guys' score prediction.
Give me a 3-0 win.
All right, I'm gonna say a 4-2 win.
For me, 6 out of 7 clean sheets. I think it's very obviously going to be a 3-0 win, copying you, Ilias.
Of course you are.
I think that brings us to the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in to Cooler Corner. Remember to tune in next week for our review of this Real Sociedad game. And thank you for joining us on this episode.